to the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Tero.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo umetune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
This program is rated GE. Content carried in here is suitable for general family viewing.
Hello, I'm Esther Githu. It's Friday, March 17th. This is Africa 54. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, while in Niger, announces $150 million in new humanitarian assistance to help meet needs in West and Central Africa. Ghana holds state funeral for former Black Stars winger Christian Achu, who died last month in the southern Turkey earthquake. And in our entertainment report, Heather Maxwell has the sounds of the Pan-African group, the Acoustic Africa 3. All that and much more coming up on today's Africa 54. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced close to $150 million in new humanitarian assistance to help meet needs in West and Central Africa during a joint news conference in Niger with Foreign Minister Hassoumi Massoudou. The West African country has emerged as a crucial security base for Western countries seeking to counter terrorist groups in the Sahel region. VOA senior diplomatic correspondent Cindy Sain has more.
Terrorist organizations like Boko Haram and Islamic State and branches of Al-Qaeda continue to pose a threat to Niger and governments across sub-Saharan Africa. This is the aftermath of an attack last week in neighboring Nigeria, where militants in Borno State killed at least 37 fishermen. Amid regional security concerns, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken chose to visit Niger. In a joint news conference with his Nigerian counterpart in Niamey, Blinken announced nearly $150 million in humanitarian assistance to help meet the tremendous need in Western and Central Africa and the Sahel created by regional instability. Blinken had this to say on the scourge of extremist violence.
We are also supporting investments in the long-term security of Niger, investments that you heard the minister refer to, help make Niger's law enforcement more effective in combating terrorism, strengthening border security, enhancing counter-narcotics capacity, stemming trafficking, helping to investigate, prosecute, and ultimately reduce terrorism, violent extremism.
During the visit, Blinken highlighted Niger's democratic government and its efforts to help its young people break free from the pull of extremist groups. One expert told VOA he was not surprised that Blinken had decided to visit Niger after his visit to Ethiopia.
Again, Niger is a linchpin right now towards stability in the Sahel, and it has done significantly better than its neighbors. It has a more democratic government. Remember that in Mali and Burkina Faso we've seen military coups, and so you have great governance turmoil in those countries. Niger is an island of stability in comparison.
Niger is one of the world's poorest countries and desperately needs more humanitarian aid to help nurses, like this one in the remote northern village of Sulufeta, who have no equipment and no drugs to treat patients. Blinken said the new fund for Central Africa will provide for shelter, food, safe drinking water, and sanitation, while also supporting vulnerable refugees and asylum seekers evacuated to Niger from neighboring countries. Blinken praised the people of Niger's generosity for taking in refugees. Cindy Sain, VOA News.
Ghana held a state funeral for former Black Stars winger Christian Achu on Friday. He died during the earthquake in southern Turkey. Last month, Achu, 31, had been missing since the February 6th earthquake following the collapse of an apartment building in Hati. After the discovery of his body, he was flown back to Ghana 2 weeks later. Arriving draped in Ghana's national flag, mourners silently filed past Achu's coffin in the parking lot of the country's parliament building in Accra. Achu had been scheduled to fly out of southern Turkey hours before the quake, but the Ghanaian had opted to stay with the club after scoring the winning goal in a February 5th Super League match. Family, fans, and beneficiaries of Achu's charitable giving remembered him as a philanthropist as well as an outstanding footballer, and they're heartbroken over his death.
Achu was a nice person, quiet person. Oh, Achu, he liked people. Achu liked people. So when we hear the Achu's incident, we all sad. So today we are here for Achu's funeral.
The first day I heard it, I don't know. It was heartbreaking. Because I fellowship with a brother. So when we heard it, I didn't believe it till the brother came from the state that they finally found him. It wasn't easy. So I was asking how was he, is his body damaged or something? He said, oh, it was only the head.
Christian Achu is a human being. He has an angel heart of an angel. But, you know,
In addition to playing 65 times for Ghana, Achu played with Chelsea before joining Newcastle in 2017, staying at the Premier League club for 4 years. In Tauchira village in Malawi's Chirazulu district, survivors of Tropical Cyclone Freddy are sheltering in a school after a landslide and floods swept away their homes. Families have received food aid donated by the government. Tropical Cyclone Freddy has killed more than 400 people in Malawi, Mozambique and Madagascar since its first made the landfall in Africa in late February and circled back to hit the region for a second time last weekend. Survivors say it will be very difficult to move forward.
We need food, clothes, and bedding. It is hard to survive without food. And if possible, we would like to find a place where we can build new homes.
It will be hard to go back to that place in peace, because what we heard and saw then will always be in our minds. You feel like you can still hear the people screaming. It is really frightening because we are living under the mountain and it will always remind us of the water coming from there.
Freddy is one of the longest-lasting tropical cyclones ever recorded and one of the deadliest in Africa in recent years. Nigerians are preparing to closely observe the gubernatorial and state assembly elections on Saturday to see how women candidates fare at the polls. The number of women elected to the National Assembly in Nigeria dropped by 50% in a February 25th vote for president. Activists say this is a step backward for women facing cultural bias in politics. Timothy Obiezu has more from Abuja.
Juliet Isi Ikayere unanimously won her party's vote to contest the National Assembly elections last month. The 28-year-old lawyer says she joined politics in 2021 after supporting protests against police brutality and bad governance. But out of 360 National Assembly seats, women won only 12, and Ikayere wasn't one of them. She blames gender inequality and a lack of access to campaign funds.
The political terrain in Nigeria is usually faced with violence. It's more of a patriarchal society whereby for a woman to even talk, she needs to have somebody who will actually give her access, inroads in these political parties.
Nigeria is Africa's biggest democracy, and women represent half of its total population. But they occupy only 4% of politically elected positions despite succeeding in business and private sectors. Nigeria has never had a female president or vice president since returning to democracy in 1999, and a woman has yet to be elected governor of any state. Cynthia Mbamalu is a director of programs at Yaga Africa, a non-profit promoting democratic governance.
Because they say politics is local, and our local context is driven by patriarchal norms, religious and traditional or cultural sentiments, which do not favor women political leadership.
The UN says Nigeria has the lowest representation of women in politics across all of Africa. Ireti Kingibe is one of just 3 female senators elected on February 25th, compared to 8 women who won Senate seats in 2019. Kingibe defeated a male counterpart who had been in office since 2011.
Women have to be allowed to emerge. And I'm beginning to think that unless we legislate it, we're never going to get the parties to agree that women are an integral and critical part of our society. There's a certain attitude of the men in the party, even when they know a lot less than you, have been in the political space not as long as you have been.
Last year, Nigerian women protested for weeks at the National Assembly, demanding lawmakers pass 5 gender-related bills, including one that would reserve 35% of seats in parliament for women. But the bills failed to advance after some lawmakers initially called them ridiculous. Many will be waiting to see if any woman get elected in Saturday's gubernatorial and state assembly elections. 24 women are running for state governor seats. If one wins her election, she will become Nigeria's first female governor. Timothy Obiezu for VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
Technology nearly derailed February's presidential elections in Nigeria. The Independent National Election Commission did not fulfill its promise to transmit election results from the polling units on its result viewing portal. This led to calls by some observers and political parties for cancellation and new elections. Africa 54's Paul Ndiho spoke to Adedoyin Adedeji, a Lagos-based tech analyst, about the controversy.
I think the major complaint was with the INEC's process to upload results after the polling unit had closed for the day. Average Nigerians expected from INEC is number one, this is the first major national elections we'll be having, and we would be leveraging technology as it is. It's been tested for some smaller elections before now, and it actually works fine. And I think a lot of people actually had high hopes that this would help to reduce the incidences of electoral malpractices and fraud. So it was a good initiative when it was introduced, which is the electronic transmission of results from the polling units level. So meaning from every polling unit across the country, across Nigeria, the expectation was that immediately after elections, you would be able to upload your results immediately before taking it to the collation center at each polling unit across the country. Once the results have been counted and party agents have verified the results, immediately with the devices that the INEC officials have, they should be able to take a record of the record from this polling unit and upload it to the INEC server. So what we expected was that as these units were being uploaded, citizens can log into the INEC website and follow result as it's being uploaded. However, that was not what we saw in this last election.
People are expected to go to the polls tomorrow to vote for their representatives at local levels, at state levels. Has there been any assurance from INEC, for example, to say that the process or what happened during the presidential elections has been worked out?
For now, we can only depend on INEC's words, but we hope, all we can do is to hope that the complaints from the presidential elections would have been resolved before the governorship and state level elections. I think overall people are hopeful because INEC has given assurances that results will be transmitted electronically this time. So I hope that they've made provisions for the surge in traffic which they experienced, and I hope that in the coming elections, adequate preparations would have been made for that to results to be transmitted electronically. And also in terms of logistics, I mean, we had a number of logistics issues, and I hope that that would also be sorted out in the coming elections.
Adedoyin, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
That was Adedoyin Adedeji, a Lagos-based tech analyst speaking to Africa 54's Paul Ndiho. We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54 and all our VOA Africa programs on our website at voaafrica.com. Still to come in our entertainment report, we feature 3 female musicians from Cameroon. Stay with us.
Women and girls have just as much right to access the digital world and prosper in it as men and boys. That's according to UN's Women Executive Director Sima Bahous in light of this year's International Women's Day commemoration. On this week's episode of Our Voices, we examine how digital innovation and technology can be used on the path of success. Join the conversation each week right here on Our Voices.
Health, wellness, sport, beauty, medical breakthroughs. Healthy Living cares about your well-being. What are the main health concerns in Africa and around the world? Find out the latest on coronavirus. Connect with our experts and ask them questions.
How long does the virus stay?
Join me, Lina Hudu, in Washington, every week on Healthy Living, right here on VOA.
You're watching Africa 54 from the Voice of America, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. In other news, the Tanzanian government has dispatched a rapid response team of health experts to the northwestern region of Kagera to investigate a mysterious disease that has claimed the lives of 5 people. The health ministry says the symptoms include fever, vomiting, bleeding in various body parts, and kidney failure. The United Nations says 10 million children in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are caught in extreme jeopardy and desperately need humanitarian assistance due to worsening violence. UNICEF says another 4 million children are at risk in neighboring West African countries as battles between armed groups and security forces spill across the borders. And wildlife Officials say a majestic lion famed for its amber eyes and thick golden mane has died in a battle for territory in Tanzania's Serengeti National Park. 12-year-old Bob Jr. was mauled to death by younger rivals last week, according to National Parks Authority spokesperson Catherine Mbene. The Basketball African League has launched its second edition of the Girls Basketball Camp. A selection of players under age of 23 from the Senegalese Championship participated. Establishing a women's league is the long-term goal of the camp. Sedina Abagai reports from Dakar, and VOA's Jackson Vugani narrates.
Adama Hawa Diallo is setting very high goals for her young career. She wants to help young girls like her, and that's why the Basketball Africa League has set up the Ball for Her program.
I have challenges. I want to win everything, and that's what I've been aiming for a long time. To be queen of basketball, to be champion of Africa, to travel. That's what I really want.
The Ball Operations Chief explains the importance of the program for female basketball players.
This camp today is to provide an opportunity for the girls to have more visibility, to provide them with a little more material in terms of basketball, and off the field also, because they are going to do a basketball camp, then a seminar on nutrition and on women in sports.
In the minds of many women basketball players, it is not a question of comparing them with men, but a question of opportunities and recognition.
It's good to have these men. We can grow together. It's a little bit old school to compete because this is not a competition. It's also a pleasure to see these women getting the opportunity not only on a basketball court, but all around because they have the ability and they can demonstrate it.
After specific initiatives for women such as regional camps and the NBA Academy program for girls, the BAL looks to strengthen the place for women in sport and particularly in basketball.
We will continue to produce talent at girls level, and all these talents, when time comes, will be able to perform on the continent in a professional women's league that we will also continue to develop.
This camp, sponsored by the Basketball Africa League and exclusively dedicated to women and girls, is making basketball more accessible to females. The BAL intends to add more camps and create a league for women in just a few short years. For Sedina Abage, I'm Jackson Vunganyi, VOA Africa.
It's time for Entertainment Report, and joining us now is Heather Maxwell, host of VOA's Music Time in Africa radio program. Hello, Heather.
Hi, Esther. As we continue to honor Women's History Month, here's a little music history of our own. In 2012, the Pan-African group Acoustic Africa 3 toured the U.S., including a stop here at the Voice of America. The group is led by three of Africa's greatest modern female musicians, Caris Fotso of Cameroon, and Dobe Nyahore and Manu Gallo of Côte d'Ivoire. This song, L'Homme Dieu, is written and sung by Caris. In it, she criticizes the common practice of forced marriage in her region. She says, no, no, no.
L'homme
That's our entertainment report for today. Esther, back to you.
Thank you so much, Heather. Be sure to join Heather's entertainment report every Friday right here on Africa 54.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we're losing.
The level we need to go is the level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake these solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you'll find that it serves us a bit more than you put in. And that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found. Because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
Baada ya tohara, hizi ngoma pia huwa zinapigwa kama hali ya kufurahia, kusherehekea na kutumbuizwa, yani kutumbuiza watu ambao wamehusika katika hafla hiyo ambao huwa inatendeka ya tohara.
Baada ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi wale hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini,
tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili
bila uoga. Watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi, hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka ya nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
This program is rated GE. Content carried in here is suitable for general family viewing.